Folks, welcome to our open house, our virtual winter open house for the year of 2022. We're so excited to have you folks here today. My name is Jonathan Simagaza. I am an enrollment officer here at Trent University, and this is the French and Francophonic Studies session. This has a special place in my heart because I came from a Francophone background. It's actually my first language. So it's a very deep honor to be here with this all-star panel of students and faculty. Joined with me is Caroline Durand. I also have Isabelle Fournier here as well, along with our two students, Katie Simcoe and Genevieve as well. We're going to break this down into two sections. The first half is going to be a nice breakdown as to what the program really is all about. And that's going to be led by Carolyn and Isabelle. And then from there, we're going to go into a quick little Q&A from our students to give you a little bit of a student voice and what you can expect kind of coming into the term, right? So it can be anything from a little bit of advice to maybe even some standout courses that they might have taken, they might really enjoy. So with that being said, I'm going to waste no more time. I'm going to leave the mic back. I'm going to give the mic to Caroline and Isabelle, and they'll get us started with a nice little presentation about the program. So ladies, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. It's very nice to have you with us this morning. I'm also happy to be here with Isabelle, Katie, Genevieve, and with the guests who are attending this open house. So I will not be very long because what I want to do is just a brief general description of the program, its main focus and some of its features. And then Isabelle will have some more specific examples. What does French and Francophone study people do? So our program offers a broad range of courses on Franco-Canadian and Francophone cultures and literature. And we also study the French language. Of course, the classes that we offer progress from elementary introductory courses to advanced level. And so everyone who register in the program develop and deepen their mastery of the French language. And you can come in the program from a variety of levels in French proficiency. Some start with partial knowledge of French. And for those students, we offer a variety of courses to help them improve their proficiency with courses that focus on reading, speaking, writing abilities. And there's also a lot of courses on the literature and culture of Quebec, French Canada, France, and global Francophonie. And those courses study all kinds of themes from science fiction to indigenous literature to 18th century French theater. So if you browse the academic calendar, you will see that from the particularly from the third and fourth year, there are a lot of variety of themes that we cover in our courses. And so there are two main branches really in that program. The first is to enhance French proficiency. So to become fully bilingual and proficient in French. But the other part of the program really focus on literature and culture. We also offer a year abroad program. So a lot of students who do their major in French and Francophone studies go spend 1 year in the lovely city of Nantes in France. So this is something that students enjoy a lot. And a lot of the people who take French and Francophone study courses want to become teacher. And it's very important to highlight how much in Ontario, there's a great need for people who are able to teach in French. So Francophone school need teacher, French immersion programs are very popular and are always looking for staff. If you want to teach French as a second language, that's also a possibility. So it's a very popular teachable for people who look forward to do a career in the education sector, but it's also good preparation for people who want to work for the government. Because so many positions requires bilingualism as well. So if you just want to improve your proficiency in French in order to be able to apply on positions that say that they would prefer bilingual candidates, that's a very important program to look at. As I said, we offer a broad variety of courses. We offer classes that focus on improving French proficiency. And for the major and minor program, there's also classes that are called Introduction to French Studies and Francophone Studies in the Canadian Environment that really prepares everyone to take upper year classes. We also have several courses that enhance capacity into critical reading in French. Courses that teach you about culture and society in France and in the Francophone world in general. We offer courses that help you translate from English to French and from French to English. So that's pretty important. Another side of the program is to look at linguistics. So there's also a linguistic component offered by the department. And then if you look at courses from the 3,000, 4,000 level, if you're interested into French literature, there are several courses that are offered in that field. French novel, French theater, French poetry, Quebec novel, Quebec theater, Quebec poetry are also covered. But we also have specific courses like children's literature in Quebec and French Canada. That's a very popular one. We offer a course on French Indigenous literature in Canada, on Franco-Ontarian literature as well. I think, there is really a broader way of courses for everyone. And for upper year students, we also now offer a placement opportunity, which I think Isabelle and Katie can talk about in greater length. Some students also like to take reading courses. So it's possible to take courses with an individual instructor that is tailor-made for some interest. I'm doing one this winter with a student on the Quiet Revolution and Quebec culture. That's a lot of fun. There are courses on creative writing as well. So if you really want to expand your skill and become fully proficient in writing in French, that's also a possibility. And the program also makes it possible to be in contact with instructors in other departments at Trent who are fluent in French and who are able to offer the possibility for you to write your assignments in French in their other courses. So to give you an example, I teach history in English, but I'm Francophone, and I can allow upper year students to do their readings in French with me, to write their final essay in French, to write their exam in French in my history courses, and they can also be credited toward a degree in French and Francophone studies. So there's a few colleagues that we know at Trent in philosophy and in anthropology in particular, who are able to do something that connects your study of French and Francophone literature with other fields of study. This is something that we can arrange on a case-by-case basis. And to conclude on that, I think that one of our strengths is that we are a relatively small department. Our classes are small, but interpersonal connection really matters in expanding possibility and taking the most out of this program. So when you start knowing your instructors and the chair of the department, then there are several different things that you can do as well. So as I said, it's pretty general. I'm open to answer any question during the Q&A, but I think I will turn the spotlight on Isabelle right now.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to share my screen with you just a second, and you should be able to see it now, right? Okay, so welcome this morning, and I'm just going to add up to what Carolyn was saying. She already mentioned most of the classes we're teaching, so I had a few examples here, but mainly I want to talk this morning about one of the classes she mentioned, the children's literature in Quebec and French Canada. She already mentioned that we are a small program. What I like about the program is I get to know you in your first year, I get to work with you in your second year, in your third year, and by the time you're fed up with me in your fourth year, I'm still working with you and helping you improve your French and your grammar. No matter what, I have your back and I'm there for you from the beginning to the end. So I like that part about the program. I don't know if students like it, but hey, they're here this morning, so it must be. Children's literature is an example of a class that is highly popular. As it was mentioned before, we do have the joint major with the French in education. A lot of our students wants to become, it's not only here this morning with Katie who wants to become a teacher, but Genevieve who doesn't want to become a teacher and wants to write, so, or do something about translation. I think she's still figuring it out. But we have two different examples. So in children's literature, what I did to adapt to the students, yes, we are reading kids' book and we are analyzing the story and we are analyzing the characters and we are looking at all the important features and we are looking at their place in the history of children's literature. But because I was aware that 80% of my students wants to become teacher, I also added a component to the course that makes it more flexible. And the idea behind it is that the main textbook for that class is actually how to teach with children books. So we get to talk about the books, but the next question I bring to the classroom is, how are you going to use that book in your classroom in the future? And the final project I've also adapted to the student because I've given them the opportunity to write their own activity for a future classroom. So the student seems to like that because they already, when they walk out of that class, have ideas for teaching. And for those who did not want to become teachers, I also offer them the opportunity to write their own children's book. Because that was 2 or 3 of my students said, oh, I have this dream, I'd like to write a children's book one day. So I started working with them with at least the first draft of that book. So because we are a small size program, it's easy for us to adapt to your needs and to try to focus our attention to what you want to be and and target the objective of the classes towards that. Carolyn also mentioned the study abroad program. And it is an amazing program. Currently this semester, we have 6 students who are in Nantes as we speak, learning French in classes that are designed for them. That's the difference between the program at Nantes and other study abroad program that you might find in other universities. The program at Trent is especially designed for the students of Trent. So they travel as a group and they learn as a group in courses that are designed for them. So they're not just spread in different classrooms alone and trying to figure it out. They are going together and they are working together. Those are some of the pictures I took when I did go with the students a year or 2 ago. While you're there, not only can you study French, you can also do a placement in a French school. So that is an amazing experience that they get. If you want to take an extra course, you can do an experiential learning option. And another advantages is that we pair you up with a host family. You don't get to live with them, but they take you out for dinner, they take you around, they show you all the places, the cool place to visit. So that's an amazing opportunity.
I would love to go.
Yes, I get to go with the student for the first week so I can help you get organized and settle and make sure that you know where the stuff is. And sometimes I don't want to come back, but that's okay. Another option we have, I think Caroline mentioned it as well, the placement with the Francophone cultures and community. That's a new course placement we developed about a year ago. That's to promote French in your community and try to get this feedback where you can use French. What can you do with French? And I especially asked Katie to be here this morning because she is doing a placement this year. She actually did first part in last fall, and she liked it so much that she kept on going after Christmas. She's doing a part 2, and she's working with Dragonfly School of Dance. And despite the name School of Dance, they don't just teach dance. It's not just a dance school. They also have a program for learners with Down syndromes. And she gets to tutor 2 kids adult with Down syndromes. So she gets to tutor them in French. So that's the kind of things you will find at Trent. All kinds of options, all kinds of courses, all kinds of projects. You can bring your own idea and we can work on it. So we have a lot of flexibility here.
Yeah. And I think that placement program is really gonna grow and become more interesting. And students are always welcome to come in with their own ideas or of a place where they think they could do placement and develop a project with that institution. So if you're ready to get started working in the community in French in the last year of your program, that's already an option. And I think it can really help with getting ready for your career goal. So we're pretty happy with that new initiative.
Yes. So at this point, I'm going to turn it back to Jonathan for the question to the 2 students. And if you do have any question, you can post them in the chat. Or if later on you have more questions, one of the places to reach us is french@trentu.ca. Hope to see you in September.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. Now I want to go to Knott's. Next time, I was going to say, next time you're going, just let me know. I'll, try and come up with an excuse and I'll be there. Don't worry. Thank you so much for that presentation, along with just, again, sharing your knowledge about the program. It's always interesting to see just how much a program offers. Again, sometimes a lot of individuals only know a degree on the surface level, but once you really get into the literal roots of the degree, you see that there's so much expansion as well. So that's really, really nice. I'm actually going to bring in our 2 students here, Katie Simcoe and Genevieve, and we are going to have just a quick little Q&A. And I think what I'll start, let's start with Genevieve and then we'll go with Katie. And I think what we can do for this first question, if you can start with just a quick little introduction, the degree that you're doing, and well, I guess why you chose Trent University, and maybe if you have a favorite program, perhaps.
Hey, so hi, my name is Genevieve, and my kind of journey with French at Trent is kind of a bit of an unusual one because I did actually start in the environmental science and studies program. That's what I applied for. And since I was in French immersion, I kept taking French as my elective courses. And then it came to 3rd year and I was weirdly sad that I couldn't take any more French courses. So I sort of stepped back a little bit and spent a semester trying to figure things out. And with a great academic advising program who helped me talk through my degree, I'm now a French major and I got to keep a minor in environmental studies. So would highly recommend talking to an academic advisor because I got to keep all of that work that I'd done and I can graduate with it now. So I chose Trent originally because I like that it is smaller and for its environmental science program, but obviously the French department did such a good job with their degree that they got me to come on over. So
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing first and foremost. So it sounds like, again, there was a little bit of a sway that kind of came towards that French immersion really kind of stuck with you. Is it safe to say that now, as a current undergrad, the French language really is kind of a big part of not only your academic journey, but again, who you are as Genevieve?
Yeah, I mean, I think that at the beginning, it was one of those, like, I know that if I were to ever work for the government, being bilingual is a huge asset and something that is really sought after. So I figured, well, I've done it for 12 years now, I might as well continue with it. But then I think that I was one of those people whose parents put them in French immersion and I always liked it. But once I sort of started taking French of my own volition, I really just found a love for it and found that it was something that I was choosing actively to do each year. And so that paired with a little bit of climate grief from the environmental science sort of pushed me over. But then, as Isabel said, I am currently looking to possibly pursue a career in some sort of like scientific environmental related translation. So I feel like I kind of got to take all the parts of my first degree that I like and now all the parts of the French major and sort of stick them together and hopefully find a career that sort of gets to mix all of my interests, which was really cool.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Now, Katie, I know that you're also a French and Francophonic studies major, but you've taken a bit of a different road than Genevieve in regards to what you want to do down the line as well. So I guess we can start with the same thing, just an introduction, your major, and again, why you chose Trent, maybe a favorite program or what you love most about the program.
Okay. So I am in my 4th year as a French major, but I'm also in the teacher education stream. I knew coming into Trent, I wanted to be a teacher, but I didn't have any idea as to what my major would be. I was undeclared at the beginning. But what really drew me into the French program was how small it was. So that meant not only did I have small class sizes where I got to know my classmates and just feel more comfortable because I knew everybody, because the professors really took the time to get to know me too. I've gotten to know Isabel over the last 4 years, and it's really special to get to study with her in my last year in the placement that I'm in right now. But I just also found that professors really just want you to succeed when you ask questions and you share in class. They want you to do well. They want you to gain confidence and gain all the skills you can get so you can be whichever career you choose outside of your degree at Trent. So that's, I think, what really pushed me into becoming a French major was how brilliant the professors are.
Absolutely. Now, you are also doing primary junior, is that correct? Yes. So for the folks tuning in, primary junior would consist of kindergarten to grade 6, I believe. And that's usually the formative years, right? That's when students first get introduced to French and the French language and French culture. So I guess a kind of follow-up question, and this wasn't in the script, what connected you with the kind of initial stage of French? Is there, I'm assuming you find an importance with kind of the core values of French and that introduction to the language, but is there something that drew you to working with younger students?
You really putting me on the spot there, but not particularly. I've always worked with younger students to begin with, and I've just loved being with them. I'm more comfortable there. Obviously, the skills that I'm gaining in my French degree, I can definitely use as a French teacher when I move on. So that's really wonderful. But I'm not totally answering your question. To go back to my experience with Isabel too, the skills that I'm gaining in my French degree, I can use in my placement where I'm working with Francophone learners with Down syndrome and also build my skills at the same time. I don't know if I had a specific reason why I was drawn to primary junior, but I'm more comfortable with them. I like the magic. I like the chaos. I like the never dull moment. I like that. So
that's what I was looking for. There it is.
There you go.
That's the Katie coming out. But no, I'm glad that you're having kind of a full circle moment when you're really, again, realizing why those kind of foundational steps will really amount to something, you know, beyond any student's wildest dream. So truly, thank you for both sharing that with me. And I do have another question I'm going to put you on the spot for again. We'll give you a little break there, Katie, and we're going to go back to Genevieve. Again, so you folks are a little bit into your degree here. Genevieve, I'm assuming you are in your, I'm going to say 3rd year.
This is my 4th year of university,
okay.
But because I did the major switch, I will be taking a 5th year. So if I can get, like, if you aren't entirely sure if like French is something that you want to do, taking French as your electives is a really good call as well, because I mean, normally going from a degree that would normally have 0 French electives necessary, the environmental science and studies, because I was taking French as my elective courses, it made the transition to being a French major full-time, if you will, so much easier. So 4th year of university, 3rd year French student.
And you kind of already answered my question a little bit there. But again, if you did have a piece of advice for students, right? You said that, again, maybe take a French elective course if you're not sure. Do you by any chance have another piece of advice that you want to give for your students?
I think honestly, it would be can it just be a general?
Absolutely, absolutely.
If the degree that you're taking isn't really what you thought it was going to be, or you're not really gelling with it, I mean, picking such a big choice at what is a pretty young age, especially when you may not have any sort of like idea of what that choice is really going to lead to, like that's okay. You can switch through it. There's academic advisors, they will help you. It may seem when you're applying for a degree that you are married to that degree until the very end, but you really aren't. There is a lot of room to take things here and there and figure out what you like. And it's the amount of friends that I have who are doing like one degree in 4 years versus the amount of friends who paths have kind of deviated off of that. There's a lot more who have deviated, and that's quite normal. So if that's what ends up happening to you, totally normal and fine. And it's good. It's good to take that time and really get the most out of the education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an awesome piece of advice, Genevieve.
Mhm.
I second that. I think that, when you look at your overall path as a student and professional in training, it's normal to change your mind sometimes.
Mhm.
You experience things, and as you learn, you change your mind. And some students are a bit anxious about, the question, am I making the right choice? Give yourself the chance to try.
Absolutely.
helps.
If you're
Yeah.
making a choice, it's the right choice. There we go. Katie, any piece of advice for our students as they enter a new chapter?
I have to agree. The Trent really gives flexibility too, even in the French major, for you to explore other courses. Like I'm taking an American Sign Language class right now because I had a free space in my timetable to do that. But also to don't be afraid to ask questions in class and don't be afraid to participate. Some of my most favorite classes were last year, like height of the lockdown, nothing really to look forward to. But in our literature classes, we had that safe space where we felt comfortable to share. And it was really exciting to hear other students and to share my thoughts and opinions on stories. We just got really invested in them. So I find that's also a piece of advice too. Don't be afraid to share and participate during class.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Genevieve and Katie. Last question. Actually, we'll do Isabel because Carolyn put in a few cents here. If students want to get in contact with you folks, how would they go about doing so?
As I put in the last slide, the easiest address to remember for email is french@trentu.ca, which you will find also on the website, and that's the general address. And it works for Caroline, it works for me. Put our full name, Isabelle Fournier at trentu.ca, or Caroline Durand, full name at trentu.ca, and you'll be able to be in touch with either of us.
Perfect. Thank you so much to everybody on the panel, and also to the guests joining us today. This really couldn't have happened without both parties here. I am losing my French, but I'm going to try and do this right now. Alors vraiment, c'était un grand honneur de vous avoir ici, Caroline, Isabelle, Geneviève et Katie. Ce programme est si spécial pour, même pas moi-même, mais pour tout le monde ici. Alors j'espère que la passion et vraiment les émotions et l'amour que vous sentiez dans ce programme va aussi être ressenti par ces étudiants ici. Alors vraiment, merci. Thank you to everybody on the panel, to the folks tuning in as well. This is the beginning of the day, right? So go ahead, take a look at all these other booths and sessions, ask as many questions as you need to, and remember you are exactly where you need to be. So thank you, enjoy the rest of your day, and enjoy the rest of your weekend as well.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jonathan. You were a great host for this session. Like, if we can bookmark this for next time and have you again, it would be fantastic. What a great conclusion.
Thank you so much. I will, I'll
Your
really
French sounds fantastic.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone again for coming.
Yes, yes. Awesome. Bye, everybody.